Hey guys, Chris back with Kentucky Outdoors and Reloading. We're going to bring you another video today. We're still reloading the 222 Remington for that old Savage 340 Model C rifle. And I think today we're going to try to do a little case prep. We're going to do some chamfer, deburring, cleaning the primer pocket out, if I can say that. And I'm also going to show you how to trim your overall length. As we talked about in the last video, we'll not have to do that with these because they're not long enough that they need to be trimmed. And if I did trim it, it will take it back to where they're at now. So I won't be actually cutting the brass, but I will show you how to set up and do that. And no longer than this video is probably going to be, we'll probably go ahead and seat some primers. I'll show you a few different ways to do that. And I do want to mention and apologize, I guess, in the last video, I think I misspoke on a couple of things. I don't mean it intentionally, but I know some people think that there is a difference between reloading and hand loading. So if you caught that, I do apologize. I tend to throw both of them around in the same meaning, and I also kind of threw around caliber and cartridge. Obviously, we all know those are two different things, so I apologize for that. This is all still new to me. I feel kind of goofy sometimes just sitting here talking to this camera, and I don't really catch what I say sometimes, and I just kind of roll what's on the cuff at the time and go with it. But hopefully, as more I do this, I'll get a little better with it. So just bear with me and try not to beat me up too bad on that. I think you know what I'm meaning, though, in the context I was using that. So hopefully you do. And again, I apologize about that. But let's kind of get resituated with the camera and take a look at a couple of things that I've got here in front of me. And we'll talk about doing some case prep. Hang on. Okay, guys, we're back here, and I've got a few little items here to show you and talk about. When I first started, I bought, I don't know if you'd call it a reloading kit, but everything was in a box that I bought from an older gentleman locally that was getting out of the reloading business, if you will, and had a lot of good stuff in there to have to start out with and to learn. And I think that was very good for me. So as you get ready to prep your brass for the next stages, we're going to want to chamfer this case mouth. We're going to want to deburr the case mouth. And to do that, you have this chamfer and deburr tool. And this is all done by hand. So to chamfer the case mouth, you're going to put the tool in the case mouth like that and just simply give it a turn. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on that. I don't know if you can see the inside of that case mouth. See where it's shiny right there? You just want to make sure there's no burr inside there. That's going to kind of help you to be able to seat your bullet a little easier. So if you did have a burr there, it wouldn't shave any jacket material off your bullet. Then if you did have a slight burr on the outside of the case mouth around there, you're going to use this other end to deburr with. And again, doesn't take much. Not a lot of force, and you don't need a lot. You can see that little shiny edge around there. Okay. You also have a little tool like this that will clean your primer pockets. This has a large primer pocket and a small primer pocket on each end. With the 222, we're going to be using a small primer. So we can put that guy up in there and just kind of turn him around. I don't know if you can see, there is still just the tiniest bit of debris down inside that primer pocket. You also have like a little brush here. These come in large primer pocket brush and a small primer pocket brush, I guess you'd call it. And there's different handles that you can buy to put these in. These just simply screw in. Okay. And there's all kinds of different handles you can get to put these in. This is one that come in that little set that I had. Just put it in there and roll it around. You can see that kind of clean that up a little bit better. You can always go back in there if you think you need to do a little more. Oh, looks pretty good. Okay. So we've chamfered the inside of our case mouth. We've deburred the outside edge of our case mouth. And we've cleaned our primer pocket out. So now we want to talk about trimming your overall length, your case length. This is what I use from Lee, and I do have a lot of Lee tools, a lot of Lee dies. Nothing wrong with the other stuff. I've got a few RCBS dies. I've had a few Hornady dies over the years. Everything's worked fine. I've got a set of Whidden dies for my 284, and I love those dies. Those things are awesome. But I use a lot of Lee stuff. It's affordable, and it works just fine for me. And I like their stuff. I think it works just fine. So let me get this open, and I'll get a case set up and explain trimming this overall length. If you'll give me just a second. All right, guys, we've got a few other things laid out here for you to look at. We're going to talk about trimming your case length. We talked about when you fire form your brass, especially over time, this overall length is going to grow from the front of your case to the back of your case. And you will need to trim that from time to time. You won't have to do it every single time, but usually by the time it grows enough that you have to start trimming, you may have to trim every time. So what we're going to do here, and I think I've kind of showed you in reverse order here. Normally you would want to trim your overall length, because when you trim, that's going to make this case mouth kind of flat across the top of this, and that's going to leave a burr on this case mouth. You'll have a pretty good burr on there. So that's another reason why you want to chamfer and deburr, to get rid of this burr that will end up being on your case mouth after you trim your overall length. So I apologize for going in the wrong order. So what we got here is the Lee system. This is like a little shell holder. You're going to put your case in. You're going to lock your shell holder down on this base. Okay. This is also marked a number 4, just like our shell holder that we have in our press. And what we have here is a cutter. This has little cutting edges on it, these 4 surfaces. And this is your case length gauge. And this is one for a 223. Just want to bring it out here for reference. I have the 222 in another tool here. But you're going to thread that down into that cutter till it bottoms out. And as you put this down in your case, the end of this will hit this base. It will not allow you to go any further. So once you hit that base, and you can kind of feel and tell that you've cut enough off that there's not going to be anything else to cut or trim, and you'll get a feel for it the more you do it. And you also can see, like the brass shavings, you can see a little bit kind of fall off. You'll see those stop, so you'll know when you're done. And then you just simply remove it. You can unlock that, pull your case out. You should be able to check this with your calipers and compare it to that number that's in your reloading manual to see if you're at the right length. At that point, then you can chamfer and deburr. Then you'll be ready to go on to the next step. You'll notice I've got the drill here in the background. What I do, I'm going to try to move you here, so I apologize. I'm probably going to shake you around quite a bit. We'll see if this works. So what I do is put this in my drill, like so. Okay. Let me tighten this up. I think I got you in view there. And then roll that around there so I can get to that opening a little easier. I'm going to put my brass down in my little shell holder. Now I'm going to put my brass down in my little shell holder. Okay. And you can run that around there. Lee also makes a little ball handle with a cutter in the ball, or the inside the handle here. And I just happened to remember I had bought this not too long ago when I was getting this ready, and I thought, hey, I can use my little handle. So we've got our 222 case length gauge there. And I've got it screwed down in until it's touching the cutter head here. And all we'll do is insert this, turn your drill on, push that in as far as you can push it. And when you feel it's done cutting, or you see shaving stop, you can simply remove that, stop, unlock your shell holder there. You'll want to get your calipers and you'll want to check your overall length, see if you're at the right dimension, chamfer, and deburr. Now, that's one way to do it. And there is another way. Let me get the camera repositioned here and I'll show you something else we got going on here. Hold tight. Okay, so what we've got here is this Lyman Case Prep Center. And I bought this thing a few years ago just because I was getting tired of using the hand tools. It seemed like after I sat down and done a bunch of reloading, it would cramp my fingers up and my wrist would be bothering me. And my daddy always said getting old's no fun, and he ain't lying. So anyway, what this is it has your chamfer and deburr tool in it. I have my little primer pocket brush. I have a hard time saying that, don't I? Mounted in there as well. Also have a neck brush, and I have the little tool that will clean the primer pocket out if we need to put that on there and get a little rougher with it, get a little more crud out. It comes with all this. It comes with other size brushes for different calibers, and then different size tools for your primer pockets. It also comes with some dry case neck lube, a little brush to clean your deck off up here, or the surface up here. So let me turn this thing on. You'll kind of see all these rotate, just kind of like using that in the drill, the hand drill there. All these are going to rotate. So here's our piece of brass. So again, it does not take a lot of pressure. You don't want to destroy your brass. You just put it on there and let it cut. That's all you need. And then if you want to, you can run it down on that brush, clean your neck out a little bit, make sure there's no brass stuck right there for some reason or another. You can push this down in your primer pocket, brush your primer pocket out. Oh, it looks like I've still got a little crud in there. So we can go over here to that little dude and clean your primer pocket out just a little bit more. Let's put him back on the brush. Oh yeah, that's looking good right there, isn't it? I hope you guys can see that. That looks really good. So this thing is so much faster, so much easier, and it's just a lot easier on my fingers and wrists doing it this way. And I really like this thing. I got turned on to this by Alabama Reloader. He done a video on his a few years ago, and I thought, man, that is pretty slick. And I really got to looking at some of the other ones, but I just like how this one was set up. I like the room you have around your tools as you're going through your processes to different stations, and all your extra tools that you have you can keep right here with the unit. I like that. I think that's neat. And he also has another way of cutting your overall length. I think Lee makes one of these cutters with threads on it that you can actually thread down into this, and I'll show you. These are threaded. This has threads in it here. But this cutter threads down in there. Then, of course, you put your pilot in there. Well, if I can get it in there. Come on, cooperate. There we go. So that's going to be sticking up there like that. Then you would, let me get this little holder here. You're going to get your little holder. You turn that on, and then you just run it down there and trim it to your overall length. I don't think you guys can see that very good. Let me move the camera here a little bit, and maybe you can see a little better. So he has one of these that has the threads on it, threads it down into the tool here, the Lyman Case Prep Center. Puts the brass in the little shell holder, and then runs it down onto the cutter, cuts his overall length, and then while he's there, he can just chamfer, deburr, run it over his case neck. I think that's pretty slick. I may look at getting one of these days and trying that myself. So you might want to check that out. So what I'm going to do, since we're not cutting our overall length, I'm going to go ahead and chamfer and deburr these. I'm going to put my little brush back in here, because I am going to use that. This one's already done. I'm going to get our brass over here to the side. I'm going to turn this back on, and I'm just going to go across here We're going to chamfer, deburr. Going to run down the brush just to knock any brass out. Going to run that brush up in the primer pocket. Oh, and that looks pretty clean. That's good enough. That's all we need. It does not take a lot. You don't have to hold it on there a long time. Clean the primer pocket out. Might give it a little tap, just knock the debris out. There we go. Chamfer, deburr, brush the neck out, clean the primer pocket out, give it a little tap, knock the debris out. I think that looks pretty good. Chamfer, deburr, brush the neck, primer pocket. Looks good. So there's 5 done that just that quick. And honestly, if I wasn't trying to take my time and explain that to you, it would go a lot quicker, a lot quicker. So I'm not going to bore you with doing the rest of all these. I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off, do these off camera, and then we'll come back up top, pop some primers in, and I'll see you then. All right, guys, we're back here, and we've got all of our cases chamfered and deburred. We got the primer pockets cleaned out really nice and pretty. And for this instance, we're going to say we have our overall length trimmed. But remember, I went kind of showed you that backwards. So you want to trim your overall length first, because you will have a burr on that case mouth after you trim. So you will need to then chamfer and deburr to get that burr off your case mouth. Okay. Now we've got some CCI BR4 small rifle bench rest primers. This is what I'm using in the 222 right now. We've got a little flip tray here we'll put our primers in. I'm going to prime these on the press. I know there's some really nice fancy priming tools out there. RCBS makes a pretty nice one. I think you can mount it right on your bench top. I forget what the name of it is. And I know there's several other ones out there. I've never really looked at them because I have a handheld one here that is a Lyman, and I like it pretty good too. Wow, that thing's big, isn't it? Lyman Easy Prime hand priming tool, and it comes with 2 trays in there because it has a little, I don't know what you want to call it, a little anvil, if you will, for small primer and large primer. I use this one quite a bit. For today, no more than we have. I'm just going to prime on the press. I do that quite often too, and it works just fine. So we'll probably do that today. Put that guy back up. Let me get the camera repositioned here a little bit better so we can see what we're doing here with putting these primers in these cases. So hang tight. Okay, so we've got our primers and we got our little flip tray. You'll notice that if you do have a flip tray, one side's going to be smooth. The other side is going to have like little ridges or little rings on it. And this is to help you flip your primers over and get them turned in the correct position that you're wanting. So we're using the CCI small rifle bench rest primers, and we're going to need 25, I think it is. And these should be in rows of 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right, so it looks like I'm missing one. We'll just dump these out. You can put your tray over there, flip them over, Now you can see that we have some here that are turned different than these guys. You can actually take this thing and just kind of shake it somewhat, and the edge of that primer will catch in those little ridges and flip over. I say that, and these two are going to make a liar out of it. There we go. I'll help it. Okay. So, again, I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to put you back over here at the press, and we'll go to priming. All right, guys, we got you back at the press here, and you can see I've got my priming arm that is protruding up through the shell holder, and I'll get you a little better view of that there in just a second and let you see how it works. But right now, you would place your primer in the priming arm, and you can see there the way I have it, you're going to put it in that cup just like it's sitting. This is called your anvil side. You want that anvil up. You want the anvil pointing toward the inside of your brass, toward the inside of your case, or toward the little flash hole down inside there. So once you put your primer in there, you would raise this up slightly, put your piece of brass in, and you're going to lower that back down on that primer, and you're going to give it a little shove, and you'll feel that primer seat. Then you would remove your case. You would inspect your primer so that it is just below flush, and you can kind of feel that as you run your finger over it. If it looks or feels like it is above your brass, you do not have your primer seated enough, and you need to fix that before you try to chamber that, because it could accidentally go off on you. So let me get my chair pulled up here, and I was going to get you a better view of this priming arm. Let me just grab the camera and walk around here with you guys. And you can kind of see this priming arm comes out of the way when you raise the rim. It comes back into position when you lower it. And all this is that little notch goes on. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a little rod in there right in front of my finger. That little notch, that little cutout is going to sit on top of that. And then it's just going to hang out right there. Okay. Now let's see if I can get you turned back around here, and we'll try and prime some cases. Let me get the chair pulled up here. And some people will say, don't touch your primers with your bare hands. The oils from your skin will affect the primer. I have never had that issue. Not to say that I won't someday, but I have never had a problem with it. Now, when I load my rounds, I don't let them set for weeks or months before I go shoot. Usually I'll go to the range sometimes by that weekend or within the week and shoot. But I really believe that from what I've read and things, that as long as you don't directly touch the inside of this primer here where the anvil is at, and that's your priming compound is down in there, as long as you just don't directly touch that, you're probably going to be okay. So some people wear the like the disposable rubber gloves if they're going to be touching their primer, and there are other methods and tools that you can use where you don't ever have to touch the primer. This is just kind of how I do it, and works easy enough for me, so I keep doing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick our primer up. We're going to place it down in the priming cup. We're going to raise our shell holder up, reach over and get a piece of brass. We're going to slide that into the shell holder. And I'm going to come down and I'm going to, right there, I can feel it making contact with the brass. Now I'm just going to give it, you don't have to slam it home. You just want a good, firm push. Should be all you need. Our primer is inserted. And I can feel like that feels pretty good. One other way that you can test this, let me move some of this back out of the way here, is if you set this down on something that is flat and there's no wobble to it and it just sits there, you know you're good. If you set that down there and that thing wants to really wobble around, or while it's sitting there still and you can move it, your primer is sticking up too high. You'll need to fix that and get that, seat it down in there further. So we know that one's good. Looks good. I can look at it and tell that it's not sticking up. I can run my finger across it and I can tell that it is just below flush. That's what we're looking for. So we'll set him aside. We'll grab us another primer, drop it into our cup, raise our ram slightly, put our piece of brass in, make contact, a little shove forward. There we go. Feels good. That looked like it wobbled around, didn't it? All right, we're good. So we got to get a primer. I keep wanting to grab a piece of brass. Grab our primer, raise our ram, piece of brass, make contact, a little shove forward. There we go. Just below flush. Feels good. All right, I'm going to do one more, and then I'll turn the camera off. You guys don't need to sit here and watch me do all these. You understand what's going on. Yeah, feels good. All right, guys, let me finish these off camera and I'll get back with you. All right, guys, I guess we're going to close that out. I think that's going to be the end of this video tonight. We've got our cases here primed and ready to go. I think in the next video, we're probably going to charge the cases with some powder. We'll talk about some of the different powder selections that I'm looking at. And then I think we'll make a separate video as far as seating the bullets. And then I'll also show you how to use the Hornady gauge to put the bullet in the case and check your length, finding your lands. And I've got some more shout outs that I want to do tonight. I hope you guys aren't getting tired of those, but I really enjoy watching a lot of these guys on YouTube. And like I said, I have learned a lot from some of them. A lot of the videos I have went back and watched multiple times just to try to make sure I understand what they're saying and try to catch something that would help me out. And I just want to bring attention to these guys. I think if you guys want to go check them out, that you'll probably learn a little something from them as well. And also they make some entertaining content that most everyone's pretty clean. You don't have to worry about what they say or how they act if you have it on in front of your wife or your kids or anything at home. So one shout out I want to give tonight is J Delta 22 NC, and I'm assuming that stands for North Carolina. It may not, I'm not sure, but J Delta NC. Go check him out. And MN Shooting Sports. Check him out. Honest Outlaw. He does gun reviews. mostly handguns, and he does some AR stuff, and every now and then he might have a shotgun or something like that on there too. But I really enjoy watching his videos. He's just entertaining, and you do learn a little bit of something. He seems to be pretty brutally honest about his opinion on how the firearm performs and how it may not perform. So I like watching him, Honest Outlaw. And then living in SWVA, or living in Southwest Virginia. Go check him out. He's got some pretty good content. So I'm going to leave that with you guys tonight. I hope this stuff was helpful and useful to you. And hopefully this video was quite a bit shorter than the last couple that I put out. Like I said, I apologize for making a couple of them so long. But I know I pause and I think a little bit before I try to say something. I don't want to misspeak and or stumble over my words. I feel like I stumble over my words enough as it is. But if I was a little more fluid with my speaking, maybe the video wouldn't be so long. But like I said earlier, I get used to just talking to this camera and feel like I'm talking to the wall half the time. I get a little more comfortable with it. Maybe it won't be so bad. So thank you guys for tuning in again. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Thank you again for all the guys that have taken the time to subscribe and leave comments. I appreciate you all. And like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good one. God bless.